I'd like to ask for some audience participation at this point, if I may. Okay. Please join me thinking about money. No matter how much thought we give money, nothing is bought but worry. It has a very short and defensive fuse, money's muse. Often my meditations on money will just refuse. I really don't understand what it has to lose, money, and why its muse should get so funny when I'm just searching for money's inspiration. It's as if I'm making some kind of allegation. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of this journey into money we don't find some tubby, bald North American actor sitting sweating in a cave saying, "Oh, the worry, the worry." All money appearing in this work is fictitious. Any resemblance to real money, dead or alive, is purely coincidental. I've had to insert that, otherwise money's muse was going to go fundamental. Thinking about money, a synonym for worry, an inspiration to bury my head in the sand. Because since giving up the day job to do this, things have got a bit out of hand. It appears that dreams only come true if they make money. And money only comes true if it makes dreams. Now there's a vicious circle in which hopes become money schemes. So I got some sand to go in a bucket the other day, and I know realistically it won't keep the debt collectors at bay, but when my head is inside, I can't hear a sound. Though, as of yet, no relief has been found because I can hear someone thinking. And it's me. And it's about money. I was thinking about money, and it might just be me, but maybe it's a forgery. Minted. Have you ever heard such a smokescreen of a word for something that is just printed? And if money is just printed, it's just a print. Then deep down, we are all skint. Skint, the past participle of to skin, money thin skin, circulation thin skin, imagination thin skin, with limitless degrees of Maybe I shouldn't be expressing such thoughts in a public place. I could end up in the courts with charges to face of treason for even suggesting there's a reason to believe that legal tender is just a poisonous printed paper pretended. Yes, sorry, I've clearly misunderstood this situation. Yes, it's a magical ritual incantation. Minting, not just copying, not just printing, yes, and we are all under its spell in this ritual whirlpool of a wishing well of lullaby, borrow, sell, lullaby, borrow, sell. And please don't think that I would dream of making any comparison between the picture of Dorian Gray and the power of money expanding with each circulating day and its origin. Now its servant with nothing to say, in a state of servile paralysis in need of some kind of community analysis. We have nothing to say, just buy, borrow, sell, pay, buy, borrow, sell, pay. Pay, now that's an interesting word to say, pay. It smacks of obey, to pay and pay and pay and pay until our dying day. If death is a penalty, are we really living or just parking? And is life the fine to pay? Pay, now that is an interesting word to say. It smacks of obey, a bit of a kinky word to say, not the sort of word you want to use with too much conviction. You might end up with some inappropriate friction. Just payments, just wars. The imagination soars to financial action scenes that Hollywood adores, of money chasing money down narrowing corridors. The only way to stop a bad man with money is a good man with money. Money chasing money down narrowing corridors into merchandise stores. It's good money, fighting bad money for money's cause. It's often said that with a big lie, it's not visible just to the naked eye, but banks and their governments, a long and elaborate con. Surely they are not dissimilar to the religious one, except gods are in stories that we told, and money is telling our story in continuous unfold. When money makes money, we are awash with coincidence. Money's not worth the paper that it's printed on. Is that a bit strong? Okay, money's worth more than the paper that it's printed on. That sounds like a con. Money's worth more and less than the paper that it's printed on? Is that a contradiction? But money is worth more and less than the paper that it's printed. How can what something's worth be more and less than what it is? Oh, by the way, this is not a quiz, but I must ask, when and where did we decide what is worth money? Hold on, have I got that the right way around? That does sound a bit funny. When and where did we decide what is worth money or not? We haven't left it up to those who've got so much more than a lot. think not, because when you've got that kind of money, it's really got you. And when you haven't got money, it's really got you then. So where and when did we decide what is worth money or not? I'm assuming that decision was not based on anything we have or haven't got, because I think I'm talking about the subplot, the real we, the social substance of what we like to think of as the basis of democracy. Oh dear, we haven't left it up to money to decide for itself what it is or isn't worth. How are we going to explain that to our children and our children's children? Here's an idea. Tell them money's not of this earth. So how did it get here? In a meteor shower discovered by monks in an ivory tower. Where did it come from? I don't know, but I've got some. Darwin. Science. Fiction. Maybe that's at the heart of this contradiction. The royal refrain and its religion, in a coalition with the banks and their government's domain, circulated a calculated faith of measured mystery. And the banks took a slash, and money made a splash on the stage of history. A golden shower, mouth agog, steaming fog of class war, and the judiciary, money's old friend, amended, nay, repealed the Christian law on crucifixion, though the Industrial Revolution, according to science fiction, was a mass alien conscription. The evidence suggests it was more like some kind of genocidal crucifixion. Though we were like an alien race with a new machine face that did not know our place. We were treated worse than cattle, worked to the bone until, oh, so premature death rattle. Men, women, children in toil, worked until the blood began to boil, and serum builds up in the perineum sac, just like the Christian Saviour's heart attack, and the transubstantiation of almost an entire population. And money rose on the third day, and we were free to work for money and to pay. But money, of course, could not have got off the ground if we'd continued working for free. Serfdom had to be abolished, along with slavery, because who'd have bought what we made if we hadn't been paid for the pleasure of turning this earth into money's treasure? But now, these wooden racks and nails have been exported to warmer climes and waiting for the International Criminal Court to define class war crimes. They call them accidents, but they're more like repeated episodes of money's old times. Money begs questions with seesaw sighs of empty cradle, rocking eyes, beseeching answers from the silent air, carbonized goodbyes, bargains to take the breath away. So now what we earn is of little concern, it's by the by, because there's to borrow and to borrow and to borrow, and all our yesterdays could have lit us to another age. If the credit card and the mortgage had been the rage before 1833, they might not have abolished slavery. They might have expanded it on the grounds of discrimination to include 99% of the nation. When money makes money, it does not give a toss with coincidence. It's the siren on the rocks, you see. Money. It came as a shock to me. Money. That it put the mock in democracy. But now I understand what they mean by liquidity. Taking the piss. Money, the theory and the practice money, speculation, speculator money, the genuine minted ballot paper money, whose voting hand we, in frustration, try to hold and shake with such adulation, creating slapstick scenes of capitulation and frowns of futility and shrugs of incredulity, because it's only by chance that you can hold and shake that which has no visibility, yet has a grip like drying cement when hand in glove with government. Money begs questions with a homeless hand that when closed can feel the interest rate speculated shifting sand that buried the lifelong security planned and now refuses to even try and hold the invisible hand. It has its own speculations canned. When money makes money, we are awash with canned incidents. The royal refrain and its religion, now eclipsed by the banks and their government's domain, no trumpets heralded in this money reign, but a busy imperial concrete abstraction of limitless gain. Concrete abstraction. The abstract made concrete. The concrete made abstract. The abstract made concrete. What a feat of clay on a sacred golden statue, say. Concrete abstraction. Is that some kind of sophisticated distraction that provokes no reaction? Because the abstract made concrete, the concrete made abstract is just a fact of life, of living. So all we make and all we create is beyond the giving, beyond the receiving, as long as we keep believing in this abstract construct in which 99% of us are fucked, hooked on a hook of gobbledygook that we have mistook for worth. Worth, the most flexible software on earth. Worth is money in a money state. It's like the hands of fate of being de-skilled, a self-fulfilling prophecy being perpetually fulfilled. Worth is money and money is worth. It's like all the gods we have ever imagined have descended on this earth, and we really are now barb-mired in chance, hooked, hardwired to dance. Are we hardwired to dance to money's siren song while we suck along a lifetime through last straws that give us such, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. Pause. I'm going to hack into those banks' computers and spread out the numbers. Pause. I'm going to get together with friends and comrades and we are going to occupy money. Occupy money. Pause. Government by possession of the people's fear for their possessions, in spiralling repossessions of recurring recessions. Father, what did you do during the Great Recession? Oh, I did rather well. Dad? Wake up. Dad? Recessions. Callous, calculated concessions made by governments to those who would take and make possessions of us and what is ours. The foundations of all those skyscraping towers. Recessions, recurring recessions. Money does not need, money doesn't have to learn lessons. Money is more, drumroll, or less. Money, more or less. The more money there is, the more everything's worth. But the more money there is, the less money is, because the less the numbers are worth. The more everything's worth. The less money there is, now you might want to brace yourselves for this, the less money there is, the less everything's worth. But the less money there is, the more money is, because the more the numbers are worth. Is it of this earth? Supply and demand. Is that a lie? A trick of money's light? An illusion? A dubious conclusion based on the notion that money's circulation is our motion for the sake of some alien spaceship's accumulation? Have you noticed the design of those skyscrapers are getting more aerodynamic? Supply and demand, an extraterrestrial sleight of hand. The more there is of something, the more it's worth. The more there is to go around. More needs and desires can be shared, explored, found. The less there is of something, the more it's worth. Is that a perspective on this earth? Or just the less that we are worth? Money is just numbers. More or less. More money, more numbers. Less money, less numbers. Money, less numbers. Money, numberless. Everything would be worthless. Priceless, worthless, worthless. You say worthless, I say priceless. Let's call the whole thing. Oh, GDP, as simple as do, re, mi, A, B, C, GDP. Gross domestic product, a measurement of output in a particular place. The input? I can't quite put a name to that face. You. The subversive we. The hidden collectivity. the we that dare not speak its name in this divisive hidden money game. As I said, it came as a shock to me, money, that it put the mock in democracy, but thinking about it, this is more like some kind of theocracy, where money debt is now the sin without origin that we are born in. A transition of transgression did transpire, the shadow of the skyscraper, shaped like a spire, towers of power, powers of debt, spiralling nowhere, never to be met, no longer the source of original sin, this oh so weak and wicked fleshful skin, which now you can buy shares in. My flesh is weak, but not as weak as my credit rating, which makes it a little bit difficult internet dating. F-U-C-K, so yesterday, F-U-C-C me for unlawful carnal knowledge becomes for unpaid credit card. You just have to pronounce that last C a little bit hard. No longer is it required for us to have clergy sermons ringing in our ears. There are much more profitable insecurities and fears for us to realise through the scripture of the advertise. Money begs questions with an empty stomach, blurred concentration of the child's attempted separation of the words from the page, with a self-fulfilling whispered rage behind the scenes of an adequacy stage. Oh, but that those words could draw more than tears onto that page, and that child could walk out onto that stage and with eloquence make real that rage. Money begs questions like it hasn't eaten all day. I'll do my impersonation of money begging questions, if I may. Money begging questions. One of the most difficult mimes in the book, often mistaken for being forsaken whilst being mistook. Being mistook while being forsaken should not be mistaken for being lost whilst orally taken. Oh, Father, why hast thou forsook me? Is a biblical loss in translation. The clergy should have been given a clear and unequivocal clarification, but trust in banks or in any church, no, neither has a conscience to search, both live and breathe by the same spirit, an abstraction without limit, eternal credit line, faith and numbers combine, cloud nine financial instrument design, and another miraculous transubstantiation without a shred of a shroud of fabrication through the credit default swap incantation, derivative sin without origin, spinning, investing, vested veil, and now our debts like our sins are up for sale. Spend and ascend. Spend and descend. Spend and transcend. Spend and offend. Spend and condescend. Spend and re-offend. Spend and amend. Does that look any smaller? Bigger? Smaller? Bigger, spend and ascend, spend and descend, ascend, descend, ascend, descend, spend, 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 spend. Skint. The past participle ought to skin, money thin, skin circulation, skin thin, imagination thin, skin with limitless degrees of separation. Is debt what we are bandaged in? Bondage, bandage, bondage. Bondage, bandage, bandage, bondage, bondage, bandage, bondage, 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 bandage. You say bondage, I say bandage. Let's call the whole thing a kinky first aid hostage situation. A kinky first aid hostage situation. 99% of every nation in a kinky first aid hostage situation. Sorry, I think I'm suffering from sham shock. Sham shock, it's a condition you get when you've been lied to a lot. It's very common in a sham shockracy of a democracy that's more like a theocracy, where money debt is now the sin against the churches of money, which is topsy-turvy and not funny, because if money, the manifestation of this imaginary spirit, which the banks and their governments have without a limit, where is the time and the place for the source of all our grace? The human spirit that thrives when what's yours is mine, and mine is yours, and flowers in the beauty of a common cause. Let us unhinge money's doors and make those scary towers of scary powers ours. Let us disobey. That's just too easy to say. Let us disobey. That's just too easy to say. Let's pauper faith and beg a belief and make our own relief from this money thief, this money state that flies the self-interest rate higher than a kite, where the real unwritten right to life and liberty is money makes you free. Money makes you free. Money fakes us free. Because if freedom is meant to be ours, not something circulated after ransoms being paid to those golden-powered showered towers, then freedom would be found and lived and loved in the weave of the fabric of our interaction, not in the grip of some numbered expansion or contraction in reaction to the movement of a fraction of a percent, because then we are still a frightened owl. Except this time we don't even know we've got a cent. You fill up my senses like a man, you know. Is it a contradiction for freedom to have a fate? Not in a money state. A money state is a criminal caper. The difference between a money state and a police state, after the scary knock on the door in a police state, they take you away for something you might say. After the scary knock on the door in a money state, you lose your home, your family, they take your belonging away for something you couldn't pay. A money state is a criminal caper, and the smoke screen is the ballot paper, because this periodic ability to vote is just a variation on the sacrificial goat, except the trick this time is we are meant to be the gods to appease, please. Democracy to money is similar to a disease. The further that freedom is pulled away from the ability to pay, there lurking in the shadows is democracy's doomsday. If the symptoms of democracy ever come anywhere close to red, or what about dawn, black, democracy will find itself like an unwanted puppy in a river in a sack. When money makes money, there can be such a boss with coincidence. Money made Hitler and his like, not just their fear and loathing of the disabled. Homosexuals, trade unionists, socialists, travellers, gypsies, Jews. Money had the right to, and it did choose. Hate can't fund an election campaign. Money did, and money will, no matter how cruel, inhuman, and insane. And do you think money's changed? Well, it looks and it tastes pretty much the same to me, and it doesn't give an FUCC about the practice of democracy. When money makes money, we can be the dross with coincidence. Poetry treats money like a bad smell. Oh dear, nothing rhymes here, there's nothing to tell. Money treats poetry, in a nutshell, just ripples on a wishing well. Experiments are being carried out on this universal equivalent, known as cash. Scientists are circulating its particles at high speed and letting them crash. And in the core of the aftermath of this collision, there is an interesting vision. Anti-money is real. Its qualities, it's something you can touch, something you can judge, and something you can feel. Now, the banks and their governments are more than a little concerned about these experiments, because it turns out under the microscope, the majority of anti-money is made up of matter and energy and some other stuff, and there is enough to clothe, to feed, to house, and to educate every man, woman, and child on this earth. Enough as enough, not some abstract comparative equivalent worth. Now, I know anti-money sounds funny, but to us unscientific folk, gravity was just a joke until it let on fly. When money makes money, we are awash with coincidence. Maybe this game of equivalence is going to have to be redefined, because it turns out the earth does mind the equivalent becoming the real, because then the earth is just a notional part of any deal. A bargain basement, fire sale, flood, damaged steel. And the real is? And the deal is? Our equivalent fueled actions are not even fractions of percentages of numbers on a screen, regurgitating abstraction over and over and over for the sake of extraction of more to the power of more. What is money for? Who is money for? Hold on, I hear you say. What's so ambivalent about this universal equivalent? Surely it's just a means of exchange. It's nothing to estrange us. It's a way to rearrange us, and the history of rearrangement through this convention too numerous to mention has given it more than a bad name. But what can you expect without any conscience, without any honour, without any shame? And still there is poverty. And the poor to try and to blame. There's a crisis in the brand, money, offshore and on land, honey. So, To the rebranding of this universal equivalent of not such a long standing, there'll be an opening ceremony, of course. That goes without saying. The televised depiction of the history of our paying for everything. There's always already been ours. Oh, shh. Was that the sound of more showers? Filling this whirlpool of a wishing well with lullaby, borrow, sell, lullaby, borrow, sell. There is a dictatorship of accumulation to be overcome, with an ideology that the parts do equal the sum. Maybe this, their money, is the last dark art of creating the illusion of keeping us together or keeping us apart. Hold on, I hear you say. You definitely did say earlier on that we were all under money's spell in this whirlpool of a wishing well together day after day, yes. But some of us are more lulled than lulling, more spun against than spinning. Banks and their governments are like churches creating sin for their sinning. 99% to be almost precise, at the mercy of this loaded money dice with the price on our heads or tails. Counterfeit splice behind money's veils. Has money made us the forgery? Humanity. A case of mistaken misshapen identity. When money makes money, we can be the loss with coincidence. And our absence is yours. And your absence is ours. Let's dismantle those hostage-taking towers of golden showering powers. Money is just numbers for our waking slumbers to repeat like sheep to help us sleep work. Hush, those numbers. And what kind of quiet would there be? And in that quiet, what would it mean to be free? To be heard. Would that be the real beginning of the word? Words. And the words would be ours. And our words would be the only bonds. Stories of gods or faith, which came first? The water or the thirst? Well, we're sort of 90% water, so our thirst is water and our water is thirst. And we are all human, so we, the 99%, can overcome this money as the innocent and quench each other's thirst. And these money bonds burst, these money bonds break for our children and our children's children's sake. Can we allow money to decide for itself what it is or isn't worth? Then something that has no inherent worth could cost the earth. The time has passed to pause. To sit behind locked doors, sucking through last straws. Let us organise. Let us rise with a love that creates as it defies capitalism's reduction, capitalism's abduction, its depleting, competing ablution. Rise to be realised by ties of worth. Because maybe, as a life, we have not yet discovered ourselves on this planet. Still called Earth. Come on, please, for what it's worth. Thank you.